So I want to make it clear that I'm currently recording this before the Mario movie direct, and I understand that the Mario movie would be the hot topic of what people, talk about by the time that I upload this video. And I will upload my reaction to the Mario movie direct. But today I want to focus on the Mario Brothers Wonder plus Bella Park Switch 2 edition because there's a lot that I want to get out of my chest talking about this, Switch 2 edition, because it's actually quite interesting. There's a lot of good in it, but there's also a lot of bad in it that I'm going to mention to you guys right now. So, starting things off, the Switch 2 edition of Mario Brothers Wonder, it was first revealed to us in a direct trailer. And in the direct trailer, there wasn't really much content to go off of. And thank God it was just a reveal trailer because the second trailer actually shows what content is going to, be released for the Switch 2 edition. And despite all the good things that they have mentioned, there is still going to be some backlash. And that's specifically because the game is a Switch 2 edition and not a DLC. It should have been a DLC. I totally agree with that. But they probably did that, the same reason they make Switch 2 exclusives out of Switch 1 projects in order to sell the Switch 2. And that's going to be a problem in terms of sales because the Switch 2 is currently declining in sales. That was true in December, and it might be true in January unless, the Switch 2 has something up its sleeve. And the decline in sales might be because the Switch 2 is overpriced and it deserves to fail. That's one side. Or maybe it's because that the social media algorithms are supporting console hate, which is also true. Both sides are true. We don't really know which source is true. They both might be the reason Switch 2 is declining in sales. I don't know what's going on. But then there's also the fact that it is currently the 40th anniversary of Mario. And unfortunately, uh, the content that's coming up, especially with the Switch 2 edition of Mario Brothers Wonder, it's not really appealing for Mario's 40th anniversary. Although it's still a decent addition to Mario Brothers Wonder as a base game, but not really good for the 40th anniversary. But the point is here is that there's still gonna be a shakeup. There's still gonna be a controversy going on for this Switch 2 edition, along with all the controversies that's already going on with current Switch 2 games and future upcoming Switch 2 games in 2026. And with that shakeup, there are two questions that you must ask. Is the upgrade pack worth it? And is it worth buying the Switch 2 for? The Switch 2 is $450. So you have to come into account into buying the Switch 2 and buying the upgrade pack. You cannot play that on the Switch 1. So in order to discover the answer to these questions, we are going to summarize the Switch 2 edition of Mario Brothers Wonder, and I'm not gonna go over the Switch 1 version. You guys can watch the trailer for that yourselves. But all I'm gonna say is that Mario Brothers Wonder, the base game for Switch 1, it's basically a rebranded version of the traditional Mario Brothers games, and it's basically a very good improvement which allowed devs to go all out in the game. Not just in terms of creative levels, but also in creative art styles and animations, and so much more. So I haven't been live streaming for a while, but if you guys want me to actually live stream Mario Brothers Wonder, then let me know in the comments down below. I might live stream it in, my first channel, and hopefully, if I do have the time, I might upload some, Mario Brothers Wonder videos on my second channel. So I want to start things off with talking about the Bella Park that we were first introduced to in the first trailer. And that wasn't actually the whole Bella Park, but rather a part of it and it actually is called the Attraction Center. And the Attraction Center is split into two plazas, one where you can play local multiplayer with up to 4 players in the same system, and you can play on 17 versus and co-op minigames in that local multiplayer plaza. As for the Game Room Plaza, it's mostly for local Nintendo Switch 2s that are playing together, or up to 12 people online joined into the same room, and it has up to 6 of those versus or co op games. And just like I said, this was just one part of the Switch 2 Edition Bella Park, as we are later introduced to the Toad Brigade training camp, which is also available for local multiplayer, and it's basically meant to train players on how to be a pro at platforming. You could play it for the sake of the challenge, or use it to train your platforming skills. Both ways are fun to play. Then there are the Koopalings. So it was first teased to us in the previous direct trailer, and now we have some more info on them. So the Koopalings, apparently they stole the Bellabelle Park treasure, which are, the bellflowers, I guess. And we have to find them in every world in the Flower Kingdom in order to return the treasure. And by them, I meant the Koopalings. So just like Bowser Jr., they have Wonder Flower boost transformations. But instead of just having a boss fight with them, they also give us the Wonder level created by them in order to, you know, play on those levels, which eventually leads to a boss battle with their Wonder forms. Speaking of boss battles, this is where we are introduced to Rosalina and the Luma co-star. So Rosalina is obviously a fan favorite of all. So we finally have all 3 princesses, as Twitter likes to say it, and she basically plays similarly to the other Mario main characters. You get small, you get big by eating a mushroom, you transform using other power-ups. Same old Mario characters, but unfortunately she doesn't have additional powers. But as for the Luma co-star, you can play the Luma using mouse controls, which is similar to Mario Galaxy 2, but with more freedom. Now, the downside to this is that it can only be chosen during local multiplayer, because the Luma co-star is meant to be a helper for the main cast of characters. So as we move on with the trailer, we were introduced to assist mode, or as I would like to call it, baby mode. Now I did have similar experience of calling DK's Bonanza assist mode baby mode, but Mario Brothers Wonder's baby mode, it is actually a baby mode. You don't take damage and you don't fall off the level at all. 100% guarantee of winning. So what's the catch? Well, I'm just theorizing here. But I think that Nintendo probably found out that literal babies were playing their Mario Brothers Wonder game, and their parents went to Nintendo and started complaining. How dare you? How dare you, Nintendo? How dare you make this level too hard for our little children? What is wrong with you? We need more babyish games, because Mario is for babies. And so Nintendo made this assist mode available for the Switch 2 edition. They didn't make it available for the base game, but rather the Switch 2 edition, hoping to scam the parents into falling for it and paying extra just to just to allow their little baby children to enjoy Mario Brothers Wonder, making it too easy, I guess. And I'm actually surprised that they hid assist mode behind a paywall instead of making it a free update for Mario Brothers Wonder. I mean, anything to sell the Switch 2, I guess. Even scamming parents, I guess. So, anyways, with assist mode out of the way, we almost reached the end of the trailer, but as we reached the end of the trailer, we were teased with a flower pot power up right at the end. So this tells us two things, all right? This tells us that we're either going to have a third trailer or rather a reveal trailer where either trailers are going to talk about that flower pot power up and hopefully some more information of what's to come from the Mario Brothers Wonder Bella Park edition. So that is it. That is everything that we know so far about the trailer. However, there is one thing that I want to mention that is outside the scope of the trailer. I don't really know if it, slipped you guys, but they already released the price of the upgrade pack. And as you can see here, it is currently priced at $20. So this is where all the controversy is starting up. Like I said before, there is gonna be some shakeup and controversy for the game itself. We don't really know if it's genuine criticism or genuine grifting or whatever, but there is gonna be shakeup, which is a bit repelling at first. But then, if you allow me to scroll a bit in the page, so if you look at the part that I'm highlighting, it says here that we are gonna have 4K output with 60 frames per second for the Switch 2 edition of the game. Now, this means that not only are we having an increase in visuals, but we're also getting extra content. Like I said in my previous video for Kirby Star Cross Worlds, it was $10 extra for the visuals, along with $10 extra for the extra content for the Switch 2 edition of Kirby's Forgotten Land. And like I said before, Kirby's Forgotten Land is already worth the price. I mean, if you're a Kirby fan, so I wouldn't say it is worth the price like Kirby's Forgotten Land Switch 2 Edition, like I said in my previous video on my first channel, but it might be worth the price depending on your preference, depending on the preference of extra content. So this was everything that was confirmed about Bella Park in terms of both the trailer and the website that I just showed you. But I guess it's time to start my evaluation of the game. Now, I want to start things off by saying that Bella Park is a decent addition to Mario Brothers Wonder. Although I wouldn't really say that it would do good in terms of sales. Because, like I said before, it's better sold as a DLC rather than a Switch 2 edition. I mean, I get that they're doing it in order to sell the Switch 2, but in terms of like as us as customers, the Switch 2 edition is currently declining in sales, meaning that not everyone has a Switch 2. Given that people are currently not used to the expensive console, so not everybody is going to enjoy Mario Brothers Wonder Bella Park because not enough people currently have the Switch 2. But basically, that's in terms of sales. I still think that the Switch 2 edition of Mario Brothers Wonder isn't really good, but I guess it's decent enough. So let's talk about the gameplay a bit. So basically, the Switch 2 edition of Mario Brothers Wonder, it's mostly made for multiplayer. I mean, you can still have fun with the single player elements. There's the Toad Training Camp, there's the Koopalings mode. You can play that as a single player. I mean, there's also baby mode. You can play that as single player as well. I don't know why you would want to, but I guess you can do that as well. But the thing is that we're talking about a $20 Switch 2 edition here. So, given that you already paid $60 for the base game, along with the additional $20 for the Switch 2 edition, it would be best if you could use up the entire package rather than the half that can already be played in single player. This is why I'm saying that most of the fun it comes from playing with friends when it comes to the Switch 2 edition of Mario Brothers Wonder, especially local ones because online players are mostly ghosts in the game, so it's more interactive to have local friends, which is a specific reason why I might buy the game since I have cousins and friends that play the same game, enjoy the same game as I do. And as for Rosalina and Luma, it's actually great that we have additional characters, but then again, the game is being released as a Switch 2 edition. So unless you're a big fanboy of, you know, big Rosalina, like I see some Twitter posts saying that Mario Brothers Wonder Rosalina is thicker than her original design. And it's very interesting that this is the only thing that you focus on. I'm watching you, bro. I am watching you. I know you. I'm gonna hide your name from your post, but I know who you are, bro. So, again, unless you're a big fan of Rosa, it's not really worth buying the Switch 2 edition just to play as Rosa, unless you're someone who also likes the multiplayer Plaza, the Toad Camp, and the Koopalings Adventure Mode, and unless you're someone who is a big fan for Baby Mode, I guess. So this is everything that I have to say for the gameplay itself. And now I want to talk a little bit about the $20 situation of, the Switch 2 edition of Mario Brothers Wonder, because we had a similar experience with both Jamboree TV and Kirby's Forgotten Land. Now, both base games are actually good when played on the Switch 2, but let's talk about the Switch 2 edition specifically. Now, with Kirby's Forgotten Land, the Switch 2 edition being Starcross Worlds, it's actually worth it because you're getting the visual and performance increase from 1080p 30 FPS to 4K 60 FPS gameplay, and you're getting additional extra content. So it's not really appealing to the major fan base, but then again, Kirby's Forgotten Land is made for Kirby fans. So a lot of Kirby fans are actually insane about the Switch 2 edition for Star Cross Worlds. But Jamboree TV, damn. Even Mario Party players are having concerns about, the Switch 2 edition being Jamboree TV because even though there was extra content, it wasn't really appealing unless you have the equipment for it, which is the $50 camera. Now, of course, you can use third-party cameras. You find it $40, $30, even $20, but you still need that equipment to maximize on your fun, and it still won't be just as appealing. As for the visuals, you do get an increase in visuals, but it isn't to 4K, but rather to 1440p. 60 FPS, but 1440p. So the Switch 2 edition, the Jamboree TV, it's more worth it to play it with friends, similarly to Mario Brothers Wonder. But then again, it's more worth it to play the base game with friends than to play the Switch 2 edition extra content with friends. So let's talk about the Mario Brothers Wonders, the $20 situation of the Mario Brothers Wonder, and compare it with Kirby's Forgotten Land and Jamboree TV. So it provides, an increase in visuals from 1080p to 4K, like I said before. But I feel like it's more worth it if you're someone who plays with friends. If you're someone who rather plays single player, then you might as well just, stick with the base game of things. I like I said, it can still play single player elements, but then again, $20. So it's better to have the entire package, which includes the multiplayer elements rather than the single player package, like I said. So that is everything that I have to talk about when it comes to Mario Brothers Wonder. Thank you very much, guys, for sticking up to me. I know I had like a lot to talk about the Switch 2 edition. Now, like I said, there are like some bad stuff, but I'm someone who likes to play with local friends, and I do have, local friends and cousins that actually do enjoy the Mario Brothers Wonder Switch 2 edition content, which is why it's more likely that I might buy it for my Switch 2. If you're someone who doesn't really play that much with local friends, I'm saying local friends. The online friends don't really count, unfortunately, unless you really feel like the online plaza is worth the 6 mini games compared to the local multiplayer that has 17 mini games. But anyways, that is everything that I have to talk about when it comes to Mario Brothers Wonder. So thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace! And again, by the next video, I meant the Mario movie direct, of course.